Hello and welcome to Fanboy Explosion. I am Seth.
I'm Cameron.
And let's talk about something that we've both promised the fans we're going to talk about. And we've talked about a lot.
A lot.
A lot in the past.
Probably for the past 3 months.
And that is our good friend, Destiny.
I don't know if I'd use the word good.
Well, just because...
Or friends.
We were good friends at once.
For a month.
For
about a month.
And we're going to talk about why that happened. And what's going on right now.
And why we're no longer friends.
Yeah. We stopped talking a while back. So, tell me... Let's talk for just a sec. Like, for the... everyone knows, I hope, that Destiny was this godsend shooter that was teased...
Okay, well, if you're building it up like that...
Well, listen.
Then it can only disappoint, but...
Well, it was presented to the world as the beautiful blend of Halo and MMO, like that open, like... multiplayer experience, but with the play controls of Halo and this whole new universe with someone who has a great pedigree, we thought, for...
They do. They still do.
They still have a pedigree.
They still know how to shoot things real good. We'll put it that way.
So that's really interesting. But as far as everything else is concerned, tell me your Destiny experience, and then I'll share mine because we obviously played Destiny together. So what was the deal with it?
Well, okay, so both of us going in, we were, in the way Bungie build it, they sold Destiny as if it was an MMO, something you're going to be playing for
years,
something with tons of content, and I think we both went into that thinking that, and that just wasn't. It wasn't the case. And I think now, to summarize, we both played about 80 hours. We did the raid. We did Vault of Glass. The new raid is out now. We did Vault of Glass. And I think, what level were you when we stopped playing? I was 28.
Around. I think
I had 28.
I was 29.
You were 29? Okay, so...
just a sliver of 29.
So we were, pretty high level. Obviously, we never hit max. But... And we talked about this a lot while we were playing it. It was just...
Everyone did. Everyone talked about it a lot.
I mean, I think it was just perceptions. We had an idea of what this game was going to be, and when it came out and we got our hands on it and we played it, and we realized... This is one of probably the biggest problems with the game for me, was there is no story. There is none... There really is none. Like, people can argue, and that's fine if you want to, but to me, there is no story. There is no character development. There really are no characters. There is...
There's you.
There is just lore. There is the black... I don't know, what is it even called? The Black Gate or Heart or something?
Something.
And just all these terms and stuff, but none of it means anything, because you're not... They tell and they don't show.
Yeah. And
it's... The Peter Dinklage wakes you up, you're dead, he brings you back to life.
Mystery, how that happens.
And then you're like, all right, shoot some aliens. And you're doing that for hundreds, for some people, hundreds of additional hours. And while there is a final mission, and there's some closure there, sort of, there's really...
What is it really?
What? Nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. And it's really strange. And that was what I was, as a super big Halo fan, and a big fan of Bungie. Mm-hmm. And I still am a fan of Bungie. I still believe that they do make good games. Mm-hmm. Destiny, if nothing else, is a really fun shooter.
Oh, it's a fantastic shooter.
From the pure shooting perspective of it feels good to shoot things. The guns feel good. The gameplay is good. It's really everything. Well, in the graphic, it looks nice.
Yeah,
it's really everything else.
It plays great.
And I mean, coming from Halo, like I said, I was a big Halo fan, which has some deep, very deep lore. But there is a narrative. Sure, your Master Chief, that character does not have. He doesn't talk a lot. But Cortana kind of drives that story, that atmosphere of the story, and it's way more. It's so much more than Destiny is. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to believe that they're made by the same people.
Yeah.
How you can have Cortana, who is actually like a character, who is an AI, and you can have the Ghost, which is also an AI, voiced by a fantastic actor, Peter Dinklage, and yet it can be the most laugh-worthy, nonsensical,
cringe-worthy at times.
Dialogue, talking. It is not a character. It is a nothing, and it's weird.
He's like a sideshow.
It's weird.
He's there. You recognize the voice, but it feels more like a celebrity tie-in than it does like a character.
It doesn't add anything.
He was asked to make.
It doesn't add anything.
Yeah. We share a lot of the same opinions as far as that's concerned.
Now, story for me is the biggest. I don't know if that was like probably the biggest sin for you. What was?
I mean, the story. I knew that when they said it was an MMO, and they had this 10-year shelf life that they wanted it to have, theoretical 10-year shelf life they wanted Destiny to have.
Yep.
That I was not going to expect the whole story to be told. Just like in World of Warcraft, they told one story, but there were so many stories in that universe.
There were different little storylines,
and they did
quest lines and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they did it through expansion after expansion, and it continued to escalate. And then I feel by the time you got to the third or fourth expansion, you were doing you had surpassed hero status. You were now legend. You had
shaped the world.
Yeah, they had created this world, and now they had the benefit of creating a world with 3 previous games, so they already had characters. But what they did is they spent time building this world and telling you who the good guys, who the bad guys were, why the bad guys were bad, and then eventually you become powerful enough to take them down. And that, I think, is the process that any game should go through, but also a good MMO should stretch that experience out. What Destiny didn't do is exactly what you said, is it didn't tell me anything about this world. It didn't tell me why I should give a crap about any of this.
The Vex?
The Vex.
Or the Hive?
I mean, they kind of play these Vex out as being a kind of Borg, from beyond time and dimension, and there's a lot of plot holes just in there.
Basically, the only explanation is when you first meet them, Peter Dinklage is like,
they're bad.
These are bad. They can teleport across the galaxy.
Yeah, but there's no sense.
And that's it.
Yeah, and
really,
when you beat the game story proper that they ship.
Yes, quotes are important.
Yeah.
You can't see, if you're just listening to the audio, you can't see the
can't
air
see
quotes
the
we're
finger
making.
quotes. But you get to the end and you're like, okay, I just took out the Black Heart or whatever, the Heart of Darkness.
I can't remember what it was called.
Whatever junk. And then the person you met earlier in the game gives you her gun and says, peace out. Enjoy.
And then it's like, go do the raid.
Enjoy the grind.
And then it's go do the raid.
Yeah. And it's so baffling to me because the raid was actually kind of cool.
Oh, the raid is fantastic.
But
the raid is actually very, very
what
excellent.
you have to go through to get there and what you exactly have to do, it's just not worth it for a lot of people. I mean, you want to start strong, and the game doesn't. I mean, if you think
you just kind of wake up, you waddle, you go get your gun, and it's just very lackluster. Yeah. You steal a ship, you fly to the tower. There's no
And think about, blockbusters. Call of Duty. Every Call of Duty game starts with this ridiculous ass, crazy, some foreign countries invading some major city, and it's just crazy. Every, crazy, The Avengers, the movie The Avengers, starts with basically S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters getting blown up.
Or even, what about Halo?
Halo,
you're on the Pillar of Autumn, and it's under siege.
And shit's getting destroyed everywhere.
You learn so much about that world from that initial level. You're like, okay, we're outmanned and outgunned. Who are these aliens attacking us? Mm-hmm. Everyone treats Master Chief with this weird, reverence. You're like, okay, well, apparently I'm a really big deal. There's so much stuff that it tells you without saying it. Mm-hmm. It shows and doesn't tell.
Yeah.
Destiny is the complete opposite.
Yeah. It tells you via cards.
Via cards you can go read on the app. Or it tells you via Peter Dinklage in the most, bored voice possible.
Yeah, very much so. Which I think that audio was recorded, and they released the audio with the alpha, that PlayStation.
Which then people made fun of with the Wizard on the Moon.
Wizard of the Moon, and at that point it's like, what are you going to do? Call Dinklage back in to record all those lines?
Well, so they did. They kind of robofied his voice.
Robofied his voice to make him more interesting.
And they took out some lines, but it didn't seem to help much. Now, I think what you were saying about the, specifically talking about the raid, where the raid is a lot of fun. And I think my big pet peeve with, another big pet peeve with Destiny is that the raid is so much fun and has so much potential. Every other mission in the game is the same.
Yeah.
There is no variety. There is a hint of, like, basically every mission boils down to this. Go to this place.
Don't touch the table.
Oh, yes, sorry. Go to this place, kill these people, or defend Dinklebot
While he does stuff.
while he does hacks or whatever, and you kill more people.
Yeah. That's
Now,
it.
this isn't even talking about the bounties or anything, which is kill people this way or kill people that way or anything like that. This is just the straight-up story missions. They all follow the exact same formula, with the exception of one. Well, actually, it kind of follows that formula too, but it's unique. Where you go, the Sword of Crota, you go get that sword, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. You know, and this is pretty fairly on in the story. It's like under less than halfway through all the story missions. You find the sword. It's for one mission, and it's not anything super crazy, but it's really cool. I mean, you get the sword and you just bash people up. I remember before the game came out, looking at like a Destiny strategy guide, reading it, and I saw in that mission that you could get a sword. And me and some other people were talking about it. I'm like, wow, what other cool things can you get? What other things can you do? Nothing.
That's it.
That was it. That's literally the only mission where you get anything interesting, or it mixes it up. Like, you're still killing people with the sword, but it's with a giant sword that's interesting. You know, that's different.
Yeah.
And if you look at WoW has plenty of kill quests, collect quests, those things, those MMO quests that like everyone hates. But over the years, they've gotten much better and added a lot of variety.
Yeah.
Blizzard has to the game. But Destiny, every mission is the same except for the raid, where there's a giant, in Vault of Glass, there's a giant stealth segment.
Which some people didn't like.
But it was different.
But it was different.
It was
That's the thing.
frustrating at times when you didn't know like the patterns and things, but it was different. There's a platforming segment.
Yeah.
Like a crazy giant platforming segment. There is shoot lots of waves of people, but the boss encounters have some really advanced, unique mechanics. You get the relics, you have to cleanse people of the darkness. You have to.
They have a theme as well, like that.
Yeah, they do.
One of the things that was really interesting about the raid is that at least for Vault of Glass, is it had the theme of that relic, and darkness.
Now we haven't played.
We have not played. I mean,
The Dark Below.
Full disclosure, my game. Well, I traded Destiny because
It's gone. I still have it.
It's gone.
I have some. I'm waiting on something magical.
You never
to
trade.
Fix,
I
to
will
fix
buy
that
it
game.
again when the game is, if the game is ever fixed. If they can Reaper of Souls
Or if
this
they
and
can
make it like
make it-
completely amazing, awesome.
So yeah, we haven't played Dark Below, which I think
haven't
Dark
played.
Below also uses some relics, and I'm sure it has some really interesting mechanics as well. But we're just going to be talking about Vault of Glass.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, and it's different. That's nowhere to be seen in the rest of the game. And I know there were some leaks and some rumors and things that the story was very different before the game came out, which made me wonder if it really got hacked up and they just didn't have time to flesh things out or add mission variety. But
We've said before, we don't really know what
don't know what happened.
and I'm sure we'll get an article 7 years from now that's like,
that'll say
what happened with Destiny, and we'll read it and talk about it then. But
and it's just it's like, to me it's sad because that Sword of Crota mission, like I was saying, shows that
something was there.
shows that they can do that. They know that people would think that was cool. They knew that was going to be something that was worth doing, adding that special thing. But it really baffles me that for the other 20 story missions, they didn't try to do anything.
Yeah.
And
That's sad.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the story was a huge detractor on my part. You know, the lack thereof didn't give me much to go on. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It was fun shooting.
The shooting we played it 80 hours.
The shooting was fun. What really began to sink in with me was, as we were going through, I was like, okay, this game basically doesn't have a story. Let me get to the end.
We accepted that.
Yeah, we
accepted
it,
that
which
there was no story. As
I don't
much as we didn't like it,
I don't
we
think
still played
we
it past that.
Like, we shouldn't have to settle when you're talking about someone who, like Bungie, who literally, like, almost brought
a AAA title.
Yeah, they wrote a new chapter for first-person shooters, and this was supposed to be the next chapter.
Exactly.
That they pinned. And so anyways, shouldn't have made an exception there, but I was like, okay, let me get to the end, let me see how this works.
Yeah, get to the end game, keep leveling up, get those light levels.
Let me tell you.
Okay, what do you think? What do you think about end game? Because that's what everyone who is still playing Destiny, that's what it is. It's the end game. They don't care about the story. They care about the loot. They care about the raids. They care about the bounties. They care about doing all that same content over and over again. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that's your problem.
So the light system on paper sounds so good. I'm like, oh, this is great. It's like you get to the end, but then at this point you have this flexible like leveling system that it's like sometimes you get gear with the stats that you really want, but it doesn't have quite as high of a light level as what you found in the past. So you're like, now you have to make a choice. The problem is that these light levels make such a huge impact on gameplay that it doesn't matter.
Gigantic.
Yeah, it's like if I get a piece of equipment with a stat that helps the skill that I like to use, but it lowers my light level,
then you don't use it.
There's no way I'm putting that trash on. And so that was something where it's like the light levels should have provided some flexibility in that,
but
they didn't. They're using it as a gateway paywall, or not a paywall, but like a gateway to, if you want to do the raid, you need to be level 28.
Yeah.
No, I should be able to do the raid once I get to the maximum level. I should be able to do the raid. Now, should there be different
like tiers
of the raid
which there's normal and there's hard.
But
right now,
as soon as I hit level 20. I'm ready. Like, this is end game. I'm ready. No. First, you got to go grind some marks so that you can get the gear from your vendor, and then that gets you enough light level where you can go do the weekly strikes. And then it's just like,
now we played before they made a lot of the changes. We played when the Cryptarch was still a stingy ass bastard.
We played a little bit after that.
We did play a little bit after that, but we were playing when like you would get the purple engram and it would be a green item. You know, it was bad. We played the loot cave. I mean, we played since launch. We played almost, I would say, every night for about a month after it came out. I think
I would say
roughly around
every
that.
night.
Almost every night. Like, come home. I mean, we would even joke with each other and be like, okay, time to go to work.
Yep,
time to clock in.
We just clocked out.
Because of the reason I quit.
Bounties,
and it's designed that way. Now, Destiny is designed to keep you playing every day. Mm-hmm. And I know this. And I mean, other people know it as well. Some people are willing to put up with it. I'm not. And for me, I'm not, because there is not enough content there. Mm-hmm. I'm only willing to kill that eyeball in
Sepkus Prime?
Sepkus Prime. I can't even say his name. I am only willing to kill that guy so many times until I'm so sick of it. Mm-hmm. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
And when we're playing on Xbox, we're not even playing on PS4, so we have less strikes and less gear. But that's another discussion. But for a game with so little content, you need to squeeze every bit of it out. But that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. The content is doing this same stuff over and over again at varying difficulty levels and with like different modifiers, so to speak, which is something. Now, I can, as someone who plays a lot of Halo, I played Halo Reach, and you can see almost like the origins of this idea in Halo Reach, where they would have the daily, weekly, and monthly challenges.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that rewards people who come on and they log on. They're like, "What are the daily challenges? Kill 250 grunts, get 10 headshots in multiplayer, or whatever it is." And so, even though you don't care anything about playing campaign again, you're like, "Wow, I really want to level up. Killing 250 grunts gives me this much XP." And this is what it becomes. It becomes, what level, what checkpoint can I load to kill the most grunts as fast as possible? That is Destiny. That is straight up Destiny. It is, where can I get loot as fast as possible? How can I cheese and cheat this game so that I can get things fast? Because Bungie isn't going to give it to you fast. Bungie is not even going to give it to you moderately fast. It's slow. The entire game is grind. You get an exotic bounty, really excited. Oh man, I really want this cool exotic gun. Go kill Septix Prime 25 times to get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's one phase. 25. Do the same dungeon 25 times.
Or no, there's no other option. Yeah, I forget.
Well, no, you don't have multiple paths to
not
doing
multiple
this.
paths,
There's only one. I mean, maybe a random engram from the Cryptarch or something could give you that same gun with having to bypass that exotic weapon bounty. But all the bounties, there's only a handful of them. They don't really change that often. It's, kill 100 people with headshots, do this, do that, kill this boss, kill that boss, do that, grind rep. First you have to grind rep so you can get the Vanguard, and then you have to do the higher level strike missions, which put you in the random strikes, and you get the marks, and you buy gear. But everything is a grind, because once you get the gear, you're not done. You have to level up the gear. You have to level up the gear, and then when you get new gear, all those resources you poured into that other piece of gear, all those materials, all that glimmer, it's gone. Then you have to upgrade the next piece.
Yep.
And now we weren't even playing when they did the whole upgrade exotic system, where like you cash in your old fully upgraded exotic and like buy a new one of the same one, except it's like slightly better to upgrade again. We weren't even there for that.
Yeah.
It's just I understand. I do not hate Destiny, and I understand why people play it. As someone who loves loot games, me and you, we've sunk more than 200 hours into Diablo 3.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, we love that kind of game. I've played WoW off and on for 10 years. I am no stranger to grinding and doing those kinds of systems. But to me, Destiny, it's just, it crosses some line with me, where it's just every night I'm logging on to do the same thing over and over and over again, and it's endless. It's an endless system. There's no story. There's no, like, final goal. It's just,
when people
I just can't figure it out.
People get hooked on games for different reasons. I think that 100% of people are hooked on Destiny because of the gameplay.
Well, it is. It's because it encourages you to come back every day.
Well, the shooting is fun, and there's just enough of the gameplay stuff in there to encourage people to come back every single day.
And it's about like a lot of people, because they're being a guild or a clan or whatever they call them.
Hard to get.
Clan. Yeah, and like, me and you, and we had another buddy, and we would play almost every night, and we just shoot the shit. Like, sure, it's mindless, we're not really doing anything, we're just killing aliens, and we just talk, and and that's cool. And I understand people who are like,
but they
don't care about that other stuff, and they're like, this is just a fun way for me to like,
kick back.
Kick back, play with my friends, and level up, and that's it. It's just, for me, I feel like I can do that with a game that like better respects my time and like gives me more fulfillment than just leveling this piece of gear 20 times and then throwing it away and getting a new piece of gear.
Yeah. So I want to dig into why Destiny's grindy formula didn't work. While it
for you,
well, it didn't work for me. I want to get into that,
because there are a lot of people still playing Destiny.
Yeah, there are a lot of people still playing Destiny, and I don't think that those people dislike the game. They probably have similar complaints that we do, but those complaints don't deter them from playing further.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what it is. For some people, they realize that there's not the story there, and that it is very grindy, but the amount of enjoyment, that doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't weigh it down. The amount of enjoyment they get out of it outweighs the negatives. For us, it was just, we had to get out.
Yeah.
It was just, got to the point where we were making more fun of the game than we were having fun.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So,
but continue on with what you were about to say.
I want to talk about that. But for just a second, we need to take a quick break. So let's take a quick break. We'll be back in just a second, and we'll continue, because I want to talk about specifically how Destiny, like why its formula doesn't work quite as well. So hang tight.
Okay.
We'll be right back.